So, it's 2016. The US economy and stock market, after a rough start, are posting solid gains. Businessman Donald Trump is running for president on a tough-on-trade agenda. In visits to factories and steel manufacturers, he repeats the same refrain. He says NAFTA is the single worst trade deal ever approved by this country.
We are going to stop the TPP, totally renegotiate NAFTA, one of the worst trade deals ever made by mankind.
NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, went into effect in 1994. It reduces trade barriers between the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Trump wanted a new NAFTA to keep factories in the United States instead of going to Mexico. It's one reason voters who were worried about trade voted for him. So, how'd he do? Trump did renegotiate NAFTA, and here's how it went down. Hey, I'm Josie Hollingsworth with PolitiFact. At first, Trump didn't say much about what specific changes he wanted to make to NAFTA, except that he wanted US imports to be exempt from Mexico's value-added tax. He also wanted to end sweatshops there. Throughout these talks, Trump said he was more concerned with Mexico than Canada. Experts said there was a lot to lose by simply undoing NAFTA. The Trump administration could cut profits for US farmers and impact the price of goods for consumers. Withdrawal from NAFTA could upset global supply chains that have been set up for the past 26 years. As far as timeline, Trump promised that he would renegotiate NAFTA within the first 100 days of his presidency. Well, that didn't happen. There were a few bumps along the way. In his first year in office, Trump repeated his dislike for NAFTA.
If you check my campaign, any of my speeches, I said I'll either renegotiate or I'll terminate.
He said in April that logistics had delayed the process of renegotiation. In May 2017, Trump sent a letter to Congress announcing his intent to renegotiate NAFTA. By November 2018, the creatively named United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA, was formally signed.
We made history again when I announced to the world that we are replacing the job-killing disaster known as NAFTA with a brand new U.S., Mexico, Canada, we added Canada, worked out great, trade agreement.
Then over a year later, in January 2020, the deal cleared the Senate. Trump called it one of his administration's crowning legislative achievements. March 2020, Canada was the last and final country to ratify the USMCA. It went into effect on July 1st, 2020. The USMCA adds changes to the auto industry and adds policies around digital trade, intellectual property, and the Canadian dairy market. It also adds environmental and labor protections. Initially, Trump pushed for a requirement that half of an automobile's content had to be built within the United States, specifically in order to be exempt from tariffs.
I think your auto workers and your auto companies in this country are going to be very happy with what's going to happen. You'll be seeing very soon what I'm talking about.
This didn't pan out. The New Deal doesn't make any mention of cars having to be built specifically in the United States. Instead, now for zero tariffs under the New Deal, 75% of an automobile has to be manufactured in one of the three countries. Mexico agreed to pass new labor laws that allowed more worker protections and abilities to unionize. These were major provisions by Democrats in Congress and got added along the way. Also in the New Deal, the US got Canada to open up its dairy market to US farmers. Now the US can sell more dairy products in Canada. The deal went into effect early July 2020, and it's too soon to tell what effect the policies will have on trade. In a compromise with Democrats that included increased worker protections and environmental standards, not to mention extensive talks with the governments of Mexico and Canada, the Trump administration was able to successfully renegotiate NAFTA and pass the USMCA. We rate this promise from Trump's campaign trail a promise kept. We're digging into a bunch of Trump campaign promises in the lead up to the Republican National Convention, and we're rating them on the Trumpometer. Check our playlist of those below. And see more of our updates on promises kept, broken, and in the works at PolitiFact.com.